Good evening, all you gurus. Welcome. And I have a dear friend of mine, a very esteemed colleague, Dr. Derek Cain here, who's joining us. And I'm super stoked as Derek has been a key figure in my own growth and development as a chiropractor through all these years. He was actually the person who introduced me to network and was my first network chiropractor way back. My goodness, Derek, that was now 16 years, not to date us, but that was a number of years ago.
A few more than that, I think, actually.
Oh, maybe. I'm cutting it on the light side. That's great. And so we're really happy to have you join us. And welcome to Innate.
Thanks very much, Norm. I'm really honored to be here. I feel really esteemed to be in the company, the people that you're keeping with these days, doing all these interviews, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome. Excellent. So everybody else who's joining in tonight, I'm already seeing a number of people join in. That's excellent. I want you to know that this is a co-creative experience. And as much as the conversation is going to be between Derek and I, we're also all connected to the same field. And you're also welcome to leave comments and questions in the comment section bar. And so we'd like you all to start with that now. So if you're tuning in, just drop your name and where you're from. Okay, this is going around the world tonight. It's a global experience. So you're tuning in. We want to hear your name and where you're from. So Derek, getting started, I know you well, and I know most people don't know you all that well. So let's just start with that. If you can share with our community a bit about your background, maybe how you got into chiropractic and the healing arts, and a bit about your journey with network, that'd be great.
Absolutely, for sure. So I decided in high school I wanted to be in a helping profession, but I didn't want to go the traditional MD route, and stumbled upon chiropractic. I thought, oh, this holistic idea is really great. So I started to follow that, and I thought I was going to be a sports chiropractor. And then shortly after getting into chiropractic college, I realized that there's this big idea about chiropractic, and there's way more possible than just fixing someone's injuries, but you can connect them with who they really are and allow them to really express more of who they are in the world. So that really lit me up. And I took some craniosacral courses and found out that light touch could make huge changes. And looked for something along those lines and stumbled into network. And I've been doing network since 1999. I've been studying it, and graduated 2001. So it's going to be 16 years this year that I'll be practicing. Yeah, Anderson the whole time here in Toronto.
That's great. So that looks more like 19 years that we've known each other and been working together. That's great. And for those of you who don't know Derek is he's an internal, so it's like he connects deeply to what's present and what's real for him. And being trained by Derek is quite an experience. It's subtle and oh so profound. For those of you who don't know network, you want to Google it and do some research. Network spinal analysis, that's the foundational work that Derek and I both work with. It was developed by Donald Epstein a number of years ago. And it really is a holistic approach, meaning that we look at the physical body, but we also tap into the emotional, mental, and even spiritual realms as well. And as we were preparing for tonight's talk, I asked Derek, I said, so what do you want to talk about? And his quick response was, hey, let's look at frustration and how to work with frustration and use it to support us in our breakthroughs. And interestingly enough, Derek had a very personal firsthand experience of the power of frustration this week. I haven't heard this story yet. He's dying to share it with me and all of you. And I think this is going to really set the stage for tonight. So thank you all for dropping in your comments from where you're from. And I know there's a few more people who jumped in. Why don't you just put your name in and where you're from? I'm seeing people tuning in from Toronto, from Montreal, from Nanaimo, from all over the place. This is extraordinary. Good stuff. Okay, Derek, over to you. What's your story about frustration?
All right. Well, let me tell you, I had a Monday. So last week, the water was getting shut off in my building, 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Saturday, I'm like, yeah, I've got a business meeting on a Monday afternoon, so I'm going to have to make sure I get up, take a shower, get everything ready before the water goes off. Went completely out of my mind. Monday morning, 10 to 9, throw my laundry into the laundry machines, started going. go to make a cup of tea, realize the water shut off. Washers are full of water with clothes in them. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened to me.
Yeah.
Lots of shame, all that kind of crazy fun stuff, beating myself up. So I take all the clothes out of the washer, start to wring them out, bring them back to my apartment, wringing them out in the bathtub. I'm like, wow, this is really bad. I've got these nice wool sweaters like I bought from England in the fall, lay them out on the floor on towels, and I'm like, okay, I got to cancel my business meeting. I'm just going to go to the community center, get a shower, go to work. Come home that night, 9 o'clock at night, end of my day, tired already, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do this. So I take all the wet clothes, put them back into the laundry machines. I'm like, yes, I'm getting control over this situation again. This is so awesome. Go back to my apartment, and I see some water on the floor. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, oh my God, what can this be? There's all this water on the floor. Oh, all the water from the sweaters must have come out and ran onto the floor. Oh, I'm like, this is not good. There's a fair bit of water, so I'm like, call the landlord. He's like, well, I can't come. There's a shop vac. Go get the shop vac in the unit and start vacuuming it up. So I'm like, okay, I gotta have something to eat. Go get the shop vac. Okay, getting some control over the situation. A little frustrated, but it's okay. Start shop vacuuming. I'm like, wow, this is a lot of water. Turn on the light in the bedroom. Like 2/3 of my bedroom's covered in water. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe how much water has come out of these sweaters. Feeling like a jerk. Super frustrated. What's happening? Shop vacuuming. One shop vac bin empties. 2 shop vac bin empties. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. There's more water in these sweaters than was in the washing machines. This doesn't make any sense. So I keep going, and I'm like, I'm trying to zen it, right? I'm like, okay, I'm just like Sisyphus. I'm just going to keep doing this, and eventually all the water is going to go away. I have that advantage. There's a finite amount of water. So the whole area gets cleared away. I go to empty the shop vac, come back. The whole area is full of water again. What is going on? I'm like, okay, the bedroom has more water. I'm going to go in there. Shop vacuuming in the bedroom. Go right up against the wall where there's another unit next to me, which is a hair salon. Shop vacuuming. The water's coming in as fast as I'm shop vacuuming. And I'm like, something else is happening here. This is not just the water from my sweaters. Okay, something's happening. My frustration level is like, getting up there now. So I go into the hallway. I listen at the door of the hair salon. There's definitely a water leak. I'm not crazy. So I go back and I'm shop vacuuming. I call my neighbor. I'm like, come, I need help. I need to make sure that I'm not crazy. I'm pretty sure there's a leak from the hair salon next door. He comes down. He's like, okay, let's try this. I know where there's some keys. Let's try the keys to the door. That's frustrating. Not happening. Frustration's building. He's like, okay, let's check out where the water shutoffs are. We look for different water shutoffs. I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. It's getting so frustrating. Take a breath, and I'm like, okay, we're calling the fire department. We're going to get the fire department to come. So the fire department comes. They go in through the air conditioner, shut off the leak. So finish shop vacuuming. But the lesson is the frustration building is what actually allowed me to take the next step of saying, I've had enough. I'm going to call the fire department.
Right.
So what happens in our traditional human nature is we feel frustration building and we try to do something to bring the frustration down, right? I'm going to go take a walk. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go watch some TV. I'm going to do something so that I don't feel frustrated anymore. But in our world, in our reorganizational world that we work in a network, we need that frustration to build and to build and to build until we get to the next point, which is taking our power back. Okay, I've had enough of this. No more. I need to do something different. So that's what happened to me when I decided, okay, yeah, I'm going to call the fire department.
This is great. There's tons of good pieces in there that I want to chat down with you. I think it paints a wonderful portrait for people and they can see themselves in it. I want to just say we've got tons of people on the call tonight. I think the most we've ever had for a Minor Guru conversation, actually. So that's pretty cool. And thank you, everybody, for chiming in. And so tonight's topic is frustration. Everybody's favorite, frustration. Oh, I'm so sick and tired of this. And if you got some questions or comments about frustration, drop it in the comment section. Okay, we want to hear from you. We want to make this as personal as we can this evening and really help you gain a better understanding of how frustration plays a role in your life and how to better work with frustration to lead you in a breakthrough. So yeah, I want to chat this down for a bit. I picked up a number of great pieces in your story, Derek, and one of the things that I see myself in, that you kind of did too, when this thing's going on and you're feeling some frustration, it's not going your way, how easy it is to blame ourselves, to go into shame, to think that there's something that I did that caused this, or I'm at the problem here. I mean, I definitely go there sometimes. We had a client who was with us for a year under care, and then they chose today to say, all right, I've had enough. I'm going to go on to my next thing. And right away, where do I go? What did I do wrong? I did something wrong. And so I'm seeing you in that situation with the water and thinking like, okay, I'm not doing this fast enough. I got to work harder. Shame's coming up. And so can you give our community just some keys on how to maybe be aware of that moment where frustration comes up and then their mind starts to chit chat? Let's explore that piece for a moment, and then we can go more into the breakthrough in a second. But I want to just kind of deepen the awareness of frustration and kind of the dynamics of what can happen in those moments.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what you're saying is really important, Norm. It's so easy when we feel stuck to feel like there's something wrong with us or to really take it personally. And so one of the things I've really learned over the years through various mentors is it's really valuable to see this as this is part of a process that's happening, and the process is changing us. Even though we feel like we're getting nowhere, we're actually building strategies to get to the next step. So if you think about a chick in an egg, okay? The chick starts to get frustrated. It's in the egg. It wants to get out, right? It's starting to peck at the shell of the egg. It has to learn how to use its neck, has to learn how to use its beak. It has to start to build those muscles, right? So it's actually developing itself. Something new is emerging out of that being as a result of it being stuck inside that shell. And that momentum that it's building is what's needed in order for what it wants to get once it gets out into the world. It's going to need to know how to use its neck. It's going to need to know how to peck. So when we're in that frustrated situation, we're actually building our internal strategies for the time when we actually move forward, so that those strategies will then be with us once we reclaimed our power. Once we keep going into the future, then we're able to use those strategies that we've built during that time that we've been stuck.
Great analogy. I really, really like that. I think of the egg and the chicken and how, an egg cracked from the outside, the animal dies. But if it's cracked from the inside, life emerges, right? And
nice.
here's this little chick, right? Who's like cracking against the wall. And I don't remember my bird oncology, not oncology, but developmental stages, but they're in the egg for a while, cracking on the shell. You imagine if the egg or the bird after, say, an hour or two says, oh man, I'm a failure. I'm just not doing this right. It's my beak. I've got the wrong beak. I'm not strong enough. I don't have the muscles. Oh my goodness. It's my genetics. It's my parents. It's the situation. I'm in the wrong egg, right? Which us humans do all the time. And I'm speaking for myself for sure. Yeah, I'm so thankful for that. Right? Absolutely. And there's purpose in being stuck. It's developing our own internal resources. So as network practitioners, we use those terms and they're neat words. But what does that mean to a lay person, developing their own internal resources? Can you give us some practicals?
That's a really good question, Norm. So I guess we could go back to my situation. So, I felt that frustration building, and I was feeling alone in the situation, right? So I got to this point where my frustration started building. And for a while that really was helpful in terms of getting the energy to do the shop vacuing and what I needed to do. But then at a certain point, I felt my energy start to drop. And what started to come in was the sense of hopelessness, right? So I was really monitoring my energy level during this whole thing. And when I felt the full sense of the frustration, the full sense of the hopelessness, boom, I was like, okay, I need some outside help. I need something different, right? So I think it's really about listening to those clues of what's happening with my energy, and how can you and really following that as the clues of what's going on, and really locating the sense of frustration in our bodies can be really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, I mean, that's a high level of awareness. I think for most people, when they're frustrated, it's like, it's his fault, it's her fault, we externalize it. But to take the moment and to be present and know, so is the energy going down? Am I feeling deflated, going into hopelessness? Our mind's going to follow that. Or is the energy coming up? So if the energy comes up, where does it go to next? What's the next step for people if they're tracking that energy? Where can they go with it?
Yeah, so I think putting your hands on the body, connecting with it would be a really great thing. I mean, we use the tool of SRI, so it's like really figuring out where it is, locating it right in your body. That can be really valuable. And that is that feeling of, okay, I've been in this place before, right? I know this is really familiar territory for me. I'm going over the same old thing, and this is something that can happen in a short term. Like mine was relatively short. I mean, I was frustrated through most of the day, but then it probably stuck in about an hour of time when I was really frustrated. But this is something that could happen for somebody over 10 years. It could happen over 20 years, right? It could be a lifelong experience. So you might feel that energy rise up, and then it might drop away again, but then you'll kind of come back to it, and certain instances might trigger it, and it might be right there all of a sudden, so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I guess the opportunity is to go into the frustration and to work with that energy. And ultimately, what we're trying to harness the energy, we're trying to have a new insight. What's the opportunity there?
For sure, absolutely. Well, I guess probably one of the best ways to think about it would be to contrast what would typically happen if we were to follow like our instincts of, I want to dampen down the frustration, right? Is then we kind of lose energy, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going to go get a massage because I feel frustrated, right? Then I'll feel better. That actually brings our energy down. So we actually don't have the energy to build up to make that next step that we were talking about, the breakthrough. That frustration energy is needed to bubble up in the system to be able to kind of send us to the next place, which is the breakthrough.
Right on. Excellent. Okay, so the energy's starting to build. Let's just take a pause. We're going to connect with the community. Excellent.
Okay, I love it.
All right, Fiona tunes in and she says, perfect timing of your topic. Absolutely. Hi there, Kate. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, we got people from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. We got a couple of people from my hometown. Thanks for tuning in. Yes, I appreciate your eyes. That's what Kate says today. A practitioner. She's tuned in. Damp and frustration turned inward equals depression.
Very good.
No kidding, eh? Absolutely. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, getting frustrated and then suppressing it, next day feeling depressed. Right?
Yeah, and especially in those, those situations I was talking about where maybe someone's in a stuck situation for 10 years, for 20 years, right? That is definitely something that we commonly see for sure with people coming in is, that definitely turns into that kind of long-term chronic depressed state for sure. Because there's nowhere for the energy to go. So,
mm-hmm. Okay, so it takes energy to make a breakthrough.
Absolutely, it does for sure, and hunger. Yeah. This is the interesting thing. So, okay, I'll save that for later because I know you're going to ask me something later. But there's a good quote around this one. But
okay.
The stuck is what actually starts the first time that we actually start to feel hunger to move towards something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Often in our often in our life process, we're moving away from something, but when we're stuck, we feel that hunger. We want to move towards something. We want something. It's kind of like our first glimpse of like self-autonomy and really, really reaching out for that power, that kind of empowerment. It's like that. It really drives that hunger inside of us.
All right. So there's something that kind of starts to bubble inside, and it's like, you know what? I want something new. I want to be, to break through. I want to be free. I want some autonomy here. So what tools might you have for people or perspectives might you have for people who are, in this situation that they've been stuck for a number of years, that feeling like they want to make a breakthrough? They're getting some awareness on the frustration piece, and then let's take it up an octave and like really bring it into like, the change state.
Yeah, for sure. It's a really great question. And I think really connecting with those times that frustration starts to build, and really being aware of it, acknowledging where it is, where it lives in the body, what situations are bringing it on. And probably more than anything is accepting that that's how you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the big ones. Feeling stuck is really hard to accept sometimes. And again, going back to what we talked about, it's really easy to take it personally. I did something wrong to be here. So really just accepting the fact that, okay, right now I'm stuck, and just acknowledging that to yourself, it can be so powerful. It can be so freeing to just, acknowledge, okay, yeah, this is really what's going on. I'm feeling really stuck right now.
Mm. And so I'm looking at my life in those moments where I have given full permission for me feeling stuck and just feeling the frustration, and it's like, ugh. And I find that often when I give myself and I can rest into it, something new emerges. And then it's like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Oh my goodness, that's so cool. And I think if we go back to your story, you probably had a similar one where it was like, oh, I need to ask for help. This isn't the sweaters in the washing machine. There's something else here. And that
absolutely
that breakthrough, it happens almost like innately. Hey, it's not really driven by our mind, is it? Like, it's not like we're striving for something. Am I getting that right?
Absolutely not at all. Yeah, and it's really that energy of the stuck frustration bubbling up, right? And then when there's enough energy there, it needs to reorganize into something new. That's when we really feel like we're empowered and we can start to move forward. The stuck actually rises from the sense of frustration into actually feeling anger, which is one of those emotions that is really challenging in terms of how it's dealt with in our society. There's not a lot of healthy modeling for anger, but one of the really things I like to kind of give the idea for people is we can use anger like dragon's breath, where we shoot it all over people all around us, right? We can turn it inwards, right? And, it singe inside ourselves. And those really aren't healthy strategies, right? But if we can use that frustration building into anger like rocket fuel and really realize, okay, I need to create a new standard for myself. This is the energy that needs to happen for me to take things to the next level for myself. I need something new to happen. Right? So rather than taking action at that time, we want to feel that anger, and we want to actually be able to connect with, what is the new standard that I want to have for myself? What is this anger telling me? Right? What's the message that's behind it? And that's what really helps a breakthrough to happen.
Beautiful. So ultimately, it's about us reaching for a new standard, or saying no more. I want more here. And so anger is a key piece in that then?
Big time. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because if you never feel the anger, you never say I've had enough, right?
Right. Yeah, we just kind of settle for it. Eh? It's like, oh, well, and we try and convince ourselves or appease ourselves that, well, I shouldn't feel this way, and drop our standards. Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
And when you actually have the experience of anger rather than the concept of anger, then instantly that kind of that standard raising happens. Yeah. It's not a mental thing. It's just like, oh, okay, something new needs to happen.
Got it. And so for people who are tuning in who might be new to this conversation, having higher standards or new standards, what might that look like for people?
Really good question. Yeah, I mean, there's such a variety. Okay, I guess we can go back to my example. I said, I'm not taking care of this anymore, right? The landlord wasn't helping. My neighbor wasn't able to help. I wasn't able to get the thing done. So I'm like, okay, I'm calling in other help. I'm not spending more of my energy on this because it's not going anywhere. So I need to bring in some outside help. So that's just, that's my personal example. For other people, it might be like, okay, today I'm gonna, this is when, people can, maybe make some actually effective resolutions actually from that place of feeling like I've had enough. Okay, I want to change my life. I'm going to start exercising. I'm going to start dieting, but not from a mental place, from that place of, okay, I want a new standard. I want to start moving towards something. Or I'm going to, or, it could even be simple as I'm not spending my energy in this way anymore. I'm not, going to spend my time with this type of person. I'm not going to put other people before myself, or I'm not going to put myself before other people. One of those kind of things.
Absolutely. So Angie chimes in here. She says, experiencing anger versus the concept of anger. Great distinction. I think for a lot of people, anger is a scary emotion. They've had poor modeling of anger, and yet anger is such a key thing in the world. In our lives and also the world around us, we need that anger to really, to stake a claim, to say, hey, you know what, I'm just not okay with this. I deserve better. The world deserves better. Yeah. I'm not going to settle for this anymore.
For sure. It really is it's that kind of that root-based spirit of revolution and evolution, right? We've seen it with the women's marches recently. That's, born out of anger, but moving towards something really positive.
Right. And so when we link or when we channel our anger into our cause or what we want, is that a key piece then to really work with the anger?
Well, it's good. It really comes from, I've had enough of this. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to really move towards what I want here.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. Awesome.
I deserve more.
Great. Okay, so we got a lot of people on the line here tonight, and I'm not seeing a lot of questions. I see a lot of people tuning in and listening to the topic, which I find so often when we dive into the conversation of network and reorganizational healing, it is different than how culturally we've brought up and thinking about these sorts of emotions and concepts. And a lot of people just sit back and go, oh, wow, I can see myself in this. I certainly can tonight. And that's awesome. Okay, so let's tune in here. I think we've done really good on this topic.
I think we've done a great
job. And you have a quote. Typically, we ask for a quote from Donald Epstein or from BJ Palmer. Pardon me. Today, we asked for a quote from Donald Epstein, who's the founder of Network and Reorganizational Living. And I feel that this is going to kind of add to the conversation. So you go for it. What's your favorite quote from Donald?
I had another one prepared, so I might double down today.
Okay, perfect.
So, one of Donnie's favorite quotes, one of my favorite quotes of Donnie's is, nothing ever got done on a full belly. So going back to that hunger conversation, right? That stuckness creating that hunger and that drive to go somewhere. If we feel full and we're all good, then nothing's going to get done. But when we have that hunger, then we really have that desire to move forward and to do something. And the one that I actually had prepared was, we go through our lives and sometimes we get hit with these events that are just out of the ordinary, like I did, right? That, morning waking up and having this event happen with the washing machine. And really that non-ordinary state is the invitation to the hero's journey or the healing process, the 12 stages of healing. So it's, when those non-ordinary things happen, it's easy to react to them, but they really are opportunities for us to explore more deeply what's happening within ourselves, what's happening in our healing process, to evaluate what we want in our lives, and to move things forward. So that's my other Donnie quote.
Yeah, that's great. So it's a wake-up call for change. Yes.
For sure.
Excellent. All right. Hey, I think we did awesome on tonight's conversation, full circle. Is there anything that you feel you want to add at this point?
No, I don't think so. I just want to say this has been a really great opportunity, and thank you so much to all the viewers and to you, Norm. You're always wonderful to be with, and I think we have a great rhythm, and I really enjoyed the fact that we got to share it with some people today.
Absolutely. Cool. So you're welcome. Pleasure having you on here. And I am noticing a couple more comments down here. So I'm just going to include the community as we kind of finish up here. And I'm going to bring them up on the screen. So just give me a second as we do that. Kate here says, I think that when we are being exposed to these topics, we need time to digest and assimilate. I agree. I'll just leave that up there. I used to, when I was doing talks and workshops, I used to feel like I needed kind of like agreement in the audience and like lots of head nodding. And there's a way to kind of talk to that. And I found over the years that the more I started speaking reorganizational living and approaching some of these other concepts, I could hear the neurology and people going like, they're like processing, going, okay, how does that work for me? And, you can see them start to shift and work through things. So absolutely, if you're in a place tonight where you're going like kind of, wow, I need to think about that, great. And even more important than thinking about it, feel it. Notice. Be aware in your own life, what do you do when frustration comes up? Where does your self-talk go? Do you blame it on yourself? Do you blame it on others? Or do you allow it to be and just notice it as a perfect part in your own soul's journey and your wake-up call? All right.
And luckily, they can go back and watch the video again.
That's it. Absolutely. All right. We got another comment here. This is from Steve. For me, it's not reacting in anger, but being able to to act consciously on the anger or with the anger. Yeah. Awesome. I think we spoke to that tonight and how true that is, and that really comes from our own relationship and our perspective about anger. It's like, how do we work with this emotion? It's here on purpose. Now, what do we do with it? Excellent. All right, let's see if we got one more in here. All right. I think we're pretty much there. I'm hearing a lot of people chiming into the topic. I'm not hearing a lot of questions, but awesome participation, people. We had a lot of people following the call all night long tonight. That's great. Well attended. It's representative of your community and your people who look up and want to learn and tap into your wisdom, Derek. That's great. Thanks for adding to the field tonight.
Thank you. Yeah.
And if people wanted to go deeper with you and find out more about your work, I know frustration and anger is one of your pieces, but the other thing you're a master on is shame. And you taught me so much about the wisdom of shame in my life and what's really underneath that and how that shows up in my life. Thank you for that. So if people wanted to go deeper in working with you, how could they get in contact with you?
Absolutely, for sure. So my website is integratechiropractic.com. So they can reach me there, or my office email is integratechiro, CHIRO, @gmail.com. So either of those ways, people are welcome to chat me up there. Okay, excellent. And you're on Facebook too? And the Facebook page, for sure. Yep, absolutely. Awesome. Great, good stuff. Hey, and everybody who tuned in tonight, this topic tonight was a really important bit. How many of your friends and family members are dealing with depression? How many of your people are looking to make a breakthrough and just don't have the resources or the understanding to know how? This is your opportunity to share our message tonight with them, and you can simply doing that by clicking share. You can share it onto your wall, and then this video is posted live for all of your friends, for your network or your Facebook friends to have a look at. Or if you want to message it directly to people, you can do that. Of course, we love your thumbs up, your hearts, and your comments. If you got more to share, Derek and I will be going back over all the comments later and answering any of your questions and giving you support. But for now, I think we're pulling full circle in the conversation. And buddy, I thank you so much for being in my life. You've offered me a lot of wisdom, a lot of support, a lot of connection throughout the years. You've been a real key person that's helped me in my chiropractic journey, my understanding of network. And tonight it was just, it was the next step in the journey. So thank you so much. It's always an honor and a pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. So on that note, Derek and everybody else, the innate in me blesses the innate in you. Keep attuning to the wisdom within. Be well, everyone. Have a good night. Awesome.